Well, hello, that's me again, and it's March 31, and there are some things we need to discuss. I really didn't want to do the video until probably April 2nd, but events, of course, unfold in such speed that I have to really kind of address some issues. Let me give you some interesting fact, historical fact. In 1942, during Anglo-American discussions and numerous conferences and exchanges leading towards the Operation Overlord, the landing of the Western Allies in Normandy, there was a very interesting position from the American intelligence people who said, in 1942, they said, oh, you know what, we can expect probably Soviet Union doing some kind of agreement, and settlement in the East with Hitler, and that's the possibility we need to consider. To which the British intelligence, to its highest credit, responded that no way, because the amount of atrocities and the amount of already then casualties and slaughter basically on both sides, both Wehrmacht and Red Army, and especially the amount of atrocities against civilians in the Soviet Union was such that it precluded any possibility of the Soviet Union or Stalin talking to Hitler whatsoever. And to their highest credit, they were just spot on. They understood everything. Sadly, it was in 1942, it was 80 years ago, when Britain had a respectable, basically, army and obviously very respectable navy, and actually Great Britain, United Kingdom, was a big ally of the Soviet Union as well as the United States. But things changed since then. And one of the major issues which we're of course having today are the Western media in general and Anglo-American in particular, and it's the degeneracy of those media is such that I don't even know I would want to live near 10 miles near to anybody who works for whatever the media they are in the UK, or mainstream media in UK or the US. And one of the reasons I say this is just to give you one example. Yeah, the times of Leland Stove, are all gone. Those journalists do not exist anymore in the mainstream media. Alternatively, there are excellent journalists out there, but I'm talking about mainstream media and the ones which form the try to form public opinion in the United States and United Kingdom. And here's one of the stories just to give you example. Every year, Russian Defense Ministry, under the order of the President of the Russian Federation, does two very important things. One, they do in the first decade of from the 1st to whatever the date at that time is defined, but starting on the 1st of April and on the 1st of October. This is the thing which is called draft. Every year, it repeats itself. It's the same date. Beginning of April, beginning of October, Russia drafts people into the armed forces. Most of those people today, and for the last very many years now, at least 10 years, I would say, are enlisted people, and they are basically sent to all kinds of the branches and forces to serve. But obviously most of the Russian army today, especially its combat troops, are the contract people. They are professionals, military professionals. But there are still some obviously enlisted people. This year it was yet another 135,000 to drafted to serve their year or two and what have you, and then, do their duty and go back. Well, evidently this routine event now is presented in many media. And by the way, I think so it's down from the serve of the UK propaganda, as the fact that Russian losses in Ukraine are so huge that they need to draft additional 135,000 people. The fact that it's a routine operation and that it's done actually twice a year, the next one will be October, they forget to mention it. And obviously that is the underlying cause of the complete delusion the Western public, well, at least part of the Western public and Western elites are residing in. Because even the routine events are represented as something just like absolutely crazy. However, having said all that, truth is that right now what we are witnessing in Ukraine is the greatest combined arms operation in the modern history, and I'm talking about probably even including the all those Gulf wars. We're looking something of the scale of probably Korea. It's the fact that Russia is completing, and Russian and LNR forces are completing the complete surrounding of the extremely large Ukrainian grouping in Donbass, and they began already reducing it. Some people say that after annihilation of primarily Azov and those neo-Nazis and some VSU units in and around Mariupol, which numbered about 20,000, we're looking at around 60,000 now, which are surrounded in Donbass, and Russian troops are just doing their regrouping, and there was a little bit of operational pause. Obviously, the thing which many Western analysts, quote unquote, don't understand and don't know what it means, around Axis, Chernigov, Kiev, but Russian troops are still there. They keep the pressure and tie their all available reinforcements, which theoretically can still trickle down a little bit, trickle through Russian firing around around Donbass. But I think so. The battle is starting. It's huge, and basically Russia battles the best troops after what was prior to this the best fighting element of the Ukrainian army and armed forces, which was Azov battalion, which is again not really battalion. It's really not even a regiment. It's a more brigade, reinforced brigade size force. And we're talking about 20,000, which were annihilated in Mariupol and now basically pocketed in the Azov-style plant. And will be annihilated. Russia begins to deal with the big body, and this will be done fairly soon. I'm not going to give any forecasts how many days or maybe a week or so it will take, but that force of VSU will be annihilated in Donbass, and we're looking at 60,000 plus force there, and well armed, and I mean, the supply, we have to discuss it because, yeah, Russia was cutting supplies and lines of communications for a while now. So just observe and enjoy, if you wish, because obviously there's nothing enjoyable about people killing each other. But, I mean, they had that coming, basically, in Donbass, and we will see the basically results, first results fairly soon. People in some reports already confirmed that the intensity of the fire increased 5-6-fold, and so today, tomorrow, we're probably going to be getting some data trickling in from that front, and after that, I think Kyiv still will be blocked, as will be able to block the whole axis Chernigov-Kyiv, and once done with this Donbass grouping, Russia will basically proceed to finish the taking of Nikolaev and probably go to Odessa. Fact is, even Pentagon yesterday, John Kirby, he admitted that oh yeah, Russians are decreasing the activity around Kyiv. Say, oh, we kind of don't buy it, which is correct, by the way. I mean, somebody still understands military art there, and it was clear that it was just merely regrouping. And as any regrouping, during regrouping, you reduce a little bit of the activity, but then it resumes as it is done today, and there you go. So those so the scheme of the things is very simple here. It's just basically you remove some troops from Kiev, Kiev is taken. So you have to keep those troops there I mean, Ukrainian troops. Of course, there is an issue even if they can make it into Donbass. But I mean, the force Russians keep there is large enough to tie those forces and keep Kiev completely blocked. So, and that's what is the deal with the military effort, so to speak. But then there is another thing, and I mentioned British intelligence for a reason, because Sir Jeremy Fleming of Government Communications Headquarters, spy agency, basically for United Kingdom, speaking to the Sky News, started to describe that basically Russian army basically ran out of everything. It ran out of, and low morale, of Russian soldiers, not enough food. They are just completely demoralized and even, do their deliberate, taking out their own equipment in order for them not to go to the front line. So, and this is really embarrassing, because not that UK didn't give us all enough reasons to feel embarrassed for the United Kingdom and for London, but this is just absolutely new level, because I don't know what Jeremy Fleming's background really is militarily. He doesn't have any really. He was from finances and then went to become this MI5, MI6, what have you, all kind of this intelligence org in United Kingdom. But Britain has to resign itself, and I am on the record that they are not great anymore. This is a peep-squeak country with the second tempo economics, and bar Rolls-Royce and English Premier League, and Rolls-Royce not in terms of cars, they're basically crap for the deconlargement vehicles. I'm talking about Rolls-Royce engines, like jet engines, which are extremely important. Many of us flew on them. But other than that, English Premier League and some residual shipbuilding, United Kingdom is not that even important. Military, it's a joke, basically. And when you have the guy who represents the UK government coming up and just basically spewing bullshit, totally made up stuff, it's like, yeah, this is basically general state of the affairs today in the Anglo-American world. You have people who are allegedly, big time, government bureaucrats who have to know shit, but they don't. And when they begin to spew obvious lies, not only lies, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it shows you the level of desperation, delusion, and lack of competence, which is, basically, it's not a bug, it's a feature now in the West. And here comes this another thing, apart from Jeremy Fleming's bullshit, I don't know, I mean, he's a sir, so, well, there you go. So we have another issue. And this, of course, everybody knows, it's in the news now, and Russia is going to be taking only rubles for gas, and that's just the start. Oil and then other things are coming. And of course, the first guys who said, oh no, we're not going to pay it, we just go screw yourself, Russia, were Germans. And not even Macron. Macron obviously tries to be the goal, but he is not worth the, little finger on the goal's hand. But, here's the guy, or guys from European Union trying to pretend that they matter, really, and that they know shit, which they don't. And basically the whole thing with Germany going to Russia and saying we're not paying is really wowzer. It's an awe-inspiring thing. And this is not the fact that Germany basically already laid itself as a, as the doormat for the United States. That was expected from Scholz government. But get this. All of the Scholz top-notch or top government bureaucrats kind of confirmed that, no, we're standing our ground, Russians can go and screw themselves, we're not paying for the gas. Well, you're not paying for the gas, you're going to, after Putin signed this decree today, well, it's going to be turned off on the 1st of April. Yeah, it's April's Fool. But here is the other thing. Many people notice this, and again, I am on the record, I write books, I write my blog, I speak about it non-stop. Look at the German government. If you look at, for example, Olaf Scholz, who is professional lawyer and who is professional politician, or look at the Annalena Baerbock, nobody even knows what she graduated. She has, some. Then you have the economy minister of Germany, whatever his name, the guy has degree in philosophy. And people say, where are engineers? Where are all those, the technocrats, people who know industries and things? No. But if not that, guess what? Now the other top-notch or top-level bureaucrat called Svenja Schulze, who is Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development of Germany, also stated that no, we're not going to buy the Russian gas, and Russians can go screw themselves. And she's a very big professional in this respect, because she was also Minister of the Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety. Get this, nuclear safety. Do you know what her education is? Her degree is in German Studies and Political Science at the Ruhr Universität Bochum, and her degree was on some kind of the German literature and then about German music. So as you can see yourself, we have a lot of well-qualified, quote-unquote, people making decisions and believing in those decisions. But hey, Putin signed their decree today, and it's pretty damn clear. There are ways of doing it in rubles. If not, no gas, and probably no other exports, which is coming, really. So, why it is so? And why we have those ignorant people, constantly, basically screwing it for everybody else, but more primarily for themselves. In this particular case, Europe or European Union. Well, the reason is very simple, and that's what actually RT today came up with their great headline. And basically this headline is what I was doing for the last 8 years, basically trying to explain to people that you either freaking hire proper specialists or just leave it alone, because you're just damaging yourself. And the response from Kremlin today, especially responding to this yet another bullshit about the fact that Shoigu is about to overthrow Putin and all kind of this, feel-good crap and Yuki propaganda, Kremlin responded, US doesn't understand how Russia works. I am so happy. I wrote 3 books and my whole blog is about how the West doesn't understand how Russia works. And I already kind of elaborated about this a little bit in depth when I stated that, oh no, it's not about Intel. Everything I speak about and everything we're talking about was and is in the open. It was always there. Data was there. The info was there. It's just the fact that, again, Russian study field and Russian academy in Anglo-American world, it's a bunch of fraudsters. Starting from Solzhenitsyn to all those dissidents, ending with the Jewish immigration, and ending with all those American so-called Russia study graduates, they don't know, they don't know shit basically about Russia. They learn some kind of the imaginary country. They still think that Pasternak's Dr. Zhivago is that important for Russians. Well, in reality, it's just basically, belletristic piece of literature Russians don't really care about. But everything they collected for so many years was collected from people, and I was speaking about this, people who were saying what they wanted to hear and what American or Anglo-American world wanted to hear from Russian dissidents or Russian spies or what have you, was that, oh, how great they are and how bad Russia is. And that's exactly what they did. Well, in reality, of course, Russia wasn't exactly what they were describing. In fact, it was a totally different country, and that's the whole point. It's not about Russia being bad or better or gooder, what have you. It's about Russia being absolutely not the country which American diplomacy and American intelligence services, American military knew. It was totally different. And again, as I said, it's not about better or worse. It was about the fact that it was different. And as Bismarck stated, the best thing you can do always for your country is to make a good treaty with Russia. Nobody in the United States today understands what real Russia is. That's why they cannot make the good treaty, and each time they have their ass kicked, they begin to, complain and say, oh my God, it's all Putin. it's his fault. But you know what? It's not Putin. They don't understand Russian. They don't understand Russian people. They don't understand Russian culture. Because if they would, and if they would know and learn real history of Russia, real one, and especially its Soviet period, they would follow Bismarck's advice and will go and make a good treaty with Russia. But when you have the literally ethnic and religious mafias and lobbies running the American foreign policy and infesting, like Mr. Windman, the Ukrainian Jew who is, remember his scandal with Trump? That's what you get. The United States foreign policy and intel is not based on real data or real understanding. First, they don't have the grasp of it. They don't have professional qualities to understand it. And as a result, you see what you have today. Obviously, they will, blame Putin or Russia or Russians, what have you, for everything the United States is failing at, including the United Kingdom, which is the lapdog of the United States. But they will never go and learn, say, hey guys, what's the real story about it? What's the real military situation here? What was the real situation with the Soviet Union in this particular respect? No, Russia was always this Mordor where people are shitting their pants from the fear of being thrown in gulag and all that. They just don't understand. They lived so much in this delusion that they missed the real thing. As a result, today, obviously, the reason Russia does what it does, and yeah, if you think that it's a weak country, well, Russia just about basically overthrew the present world order. Not even China, it's Russia who did that. And as Paul Craig Roberts correctly stated, and let me quote him on this, it's a really good quote, and I put it yesterday in one of my writing. And when he writes, these are major developments with many large implications. The World Economic Forum's reset, quote unquote, has likely been replaced by Russian-Chinese reset. But this is what I'm talking about all the time. Wall Street is not economy. Wall Street Journal doesn't print things on the real economy and how it operates. It's all about money. That's the only thing they know. They don't understand real economy. Most of them, they don't even have education. They have education in finances. It's important education. Make no mistake, there's nothing wrong with being a banker. The problem is they don't have real specialists in anything, basically. Do you want to know the story? Just look at Boeing and look how and when and why and who was the CEO who stated that Boeing 737 MAX should go into production. The guy didn't even have aeronautical engineering degree. So look it up. We have a complete failure of elites. And when you look at this, and when they don't understand that they have been just slapped into the face, they do not understand the implication of it yet. They will, because they always thought that Russian economy is smaller than that of Netherlands. Well, it's larger than the economy of Germany, actually, and by a huge margin. So they always said that Russia was weak militarily, despite the fact that even in the worst years of 1990s, when Russia was basically disassembled, Russia still could wipe off the United States off the map, basically, because it was nuclear power. And we can go on and on and on, basically speaking about these issues. But I will give you just one little fact from today. Again, this demonstrates to the degree of lack of any awareness of the outside world by these guys who supposedly they run the United States, UK, or Europe. OPEC Plus, basically. And you know what OPEC is, and you know what OPEC Plus is. It's all OPEC countries plus Russia. They actually broke off their cooperation with the International Energy Agency because they do not consider this International Energy Agency being an objective observer of the energy market anymore. And they have good reason for that, because of course what they see is a promotion of this suicidal green agenda, and as the result they broke off this cooperation. Guess what? They will rely on such companies, a JTC for example, and other private consulting agencies, which will be providing now the consultations and forecasts on the matters of the energy markets, oil, gas, what have you. Well, there you go. That's another woke institution, Western institution, which just have been kicked, down, to the side, and the world goes on its own, and whenever people ask me, I will repeat the same thing ad nauseam. I mean, I will repeat until you vomit, but remember this. Only two things define the world: actual physical economy and military power as the first derivative of this advanced physical economy. That's it. The rest of it are derivatives, and you cannot live on derivatives. You need to have the foundation. And that's what is happening today, is based on that. So we will yet, at some point of time, get to the conversation about the actual size of the Russian economy and Russia's industries. It's huge. It's certainly not as huge as China, and China dwarfs the United States. But Russia has enough wherewithal to basically conduct geopolitics on the global scale and change the whole, basically, development of the history at this stage. And that is my talk for today. And as always, those who can afford, please support me on Patreon and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be talking to you guys, not tomorrow. It's the April's Fool Day, despite the fact that it was canceled by the woke people, but hey, go make some pranks. How about this prank? Closing the gas deliveries for those people who do not pay in rubles. There you go. So anyhow, have a nice weekend, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.